We're at the top of the hour. Thanks everybody for joining us today. With you on the line today is Paul Hager. I'm the Director of Solutions for Levity, and our President, Jeff Dotzler. Today we're talking about doing live events with Microsoft Teams. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Paul. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this. This is, I think, kind of an unknown capability with Teams that a lot of people have and they don't know it. And they're probably kind of thinking, how do I do, a typical Teams meeting event and invite people to participate in that live? But this is actually a capability that extends those meeting opportunities or meeting capabilities to a totally different experience and one that can really help people maybe manage some communication and do some things differently. So I think you've been a little bit of a pioneer in trying to understand how this can work and how to leverage it and use it the right way. Tell us a little bit more about live events with Teams.
Yeah. And just so people know, we are Jeff and I are going to talk here for a little bit, and usually our coffee chats are just really super conversational. But today, since we're talking about a technology that we think people are missing where they need to click and what they need to do, we actually are going to do a screen share and dive into showing some of the features of Teams live events. So if you're here to just hear us talk, you should be good. If you're at a computer and can watch a little bit of the demo portion, I'll come up to next, then hang on the line and you'll get to see some stuff live in one of our demo customer experience environments that we have. So sorry to not answer the question, but just wanted to give people the heads up. So yeah, Teams live events are right within Teams, and I'll show you where you start them up. But it's a feature that was born out of Microsoft's need to have a production technology for their major events. So it was actually born out of Microsoft's need for conference streaming software. So if you've ever had the chance to go to Microsoft Ignite, we as partners go to something called Microsoft Inspire, which is their largest partner conference event. It's a global event, 20,000 partners come in for it. We fill, T-Mobile Arena or the Mercedes-Benz Arena. I've been to a number of them over the years, and they need to be able to stream that content back to the attendees. So you have two options. You can go to the big arena and watch, Satya or whoever current CEO is and speak on main stage, or you can go to option 2, which I usually do by day 2 after having too much fun on night number 1, and I watch it from my room in a stream. So they wanted to be able to produce these events and make them available globally with transcripts and being able to people who speak different languages to be able to hear them because they have these global events. So they had to build a technology that could take a video feed and stream it to a public website that would be stable or public or private linked, because these events are only for partners and paid for. And they had to be stable streams for really large quantities of individuals. And so it was based on the Skype for Business broadcast platform, like Teams was a little bit based on its predecessor Skype. And that's how we find ourselves having Teams live events today. That's the history.
Yeah, great. Obviously it's built on a platform of something that can serve a pretty significant purpose, but they've really made it available for people to stream these events or host these events with as few as a few people if they wanted to, but up to thousands. Talk about the capability that people have available to them and whether that's included in their licensing or not, and kind of how they could use this.
Yeah. So Teams live events comes as long with your Teams as long as you are on one of the enterprise SKUs. So you have E1s, E3s, E5s within your environment, or if you're an education customer, A1, A3 licensing. So that's what will enable your ability to see some of these features today. So if you are on some of the small business plans, you may not see the live event function. And that is why. And it's something that, again, you can mix and match some of your SKUs within your organization. That used to be harder, but now more and more you can layer in different licensing models, and we're here to help you as a cloud solution provider get you to the right product set that's good for your business, and what licensing is good for your business, and we're experts in helping assign that and help you with it.
Good. And I think a lot of our customers, a lot of people that we interact with are on those e-license types. So many people may have access to this tool, have it available for free, and can leverage this. So let's have you jump over and start to do some Friday show and tell. I want to remind everybody while he's doing that to utilize the Q&A section in Zoom. When we have had these Teams coffee breaks where we did kind of get into the application and start to show it, we've had a great set of questions. We really want to make sure that we answer the things that you're thinking about. So if you use that question and answer Q&A little chat window, we will be monitoring that, and I'll try to get Paul to answer those as they come in.
Great. Yeah, can everybody see my switch over to my other screen here that's got my demo environment up?
Yep, we're good.
Good. So just before we show it, a few things to show. So this is the Microsoft documentation around Teams live events. You can see Teams events produce the old Skype for broadcast, and then the Teams live events using the live events application. And then you have an option to use live events as just the public face of your stream, and use an external piece of software, another piece of software to actually push your content into the stream. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but you can see the attendee limitation here is at 10,000 attendees. So, this can be up to 20,000 attendees depending on your account, and you can even buy up to 100,000. Your event has to be 4 hours or less, and you can have, between roughly around 10 different presenters or producers within the group, and we'll talk about what those look like. And there can be 15 of those running at any one time. So these limits are set really for most small to mid-sized companies to have zero problem. They were really built around if you were running your own conference, like live conference, there would be some restrictions that you weren't running a whole virtual conference off their platform. But really, the answer here, I think for most of our folks listening, is this 10,000 attendee mark is probably going to do the trick. Teams right now, a regular Teams meeting has that around 300 user limit. But if you joined us for the Thought Leadership event earlier this week, I was sharing the roadmap for Microsoft Teams is still the December-January timeframe for their next release of Microsoft Teams. Will up the regular Teams meeting attendee limit to 1,000. Now, it sounds like not every one of those 1,000 people can be on the conference call bridge. So there's going to be some folks that are going to be chat only. And that's going to create this really interesting distinction between, I think, for businesses about whether this should be a regular Teams meeting, where we're going to have to deal with muting and unmuting people and maybe people coming off mute. I was on a call yesterday, and just one gentleman just was breathing really loudly into his microphone, and we kept muting him, and then he would keep coming off of mute because it was a regular Teams meeting. And that's one of the differences. A Teams live event, the producer of that event, your screen, everyone else is that is just a viewer of that event. They cannot come off of mute. It's just not even an option. They can do Q&A if you allow it. They can chat with you if you allow it. And they can give smiley face type reactions if you allow it. But otherwise, everyone attending a live event is kind of locked into more of a town hall format. So that's kind of what I say to our customers asking us about should this be a live event. As I say, first, are you hitting that 300 user limit with Teams where you need to get to 500 or more? Then maybe this should be a live event. And then what is your goal? Is your goal extremely interactive where people are being able to not only raise their hand, but comment without moderation of those comments and be able to come off mute whenever they want to, even if you could force them back off? Could people come on live? And if they say, well, we want anyone to be able to talk, well, that's not a Teams live event. But if the answer is we need lots of people and we don't want them to be able to communicate live, then a live event is for you probably. So some lingo before I get into the example. There's two live event types. One where Teams is going to be the product that manages the event itself. and the other is where you choose an external app or device. And that means that you're going to let another application, and I've got a few recommendations for those, just push the output of that application to the stream, and you're just going to use Teams Live Events for Q&A, moderated Q&A, I should say, and getting the stream out to your employees. There are responsibilities within when you set these up. The organizer is the person who schedules the event and can set up who the producers and the presenters will be. The organizer can also be a producer, and the organizer can also be a presenter. But the organizer could also be neither of those things if you wanted to. The producer is the host. It's the machine that is controlling the experience that everyone sees. So again, this could be a one-to-one. Organizer is the producer. They are sharing their video and their desktop. That's a very simple production setup for a live event. Feels very much like a Teams event and things like that. You could also, I could be the organizer. I could be setting up as the producer and then invite Jeff to be a presenter. And that would allow me to pass the ball to him and grab his, choose to present, since I'm the producer. I could choose to present his audio, his video, or his screen. You could also say, I'm going to produce all the content, and then Jeff is just going to moderate Q&A for me. And obviously the attendee level, which is just a viewer, they watch the event live or on demand using DVR controls. They can either be anonymous or you can require authentication, and they can participate in Q&A. So those are the roles to keep in mind as you go to produce a Teams live event. So if you are curious, if you are live event enabled today, is you would go to your Teams application. I would launch your actual client Teams application. And this is one of our CIE or customer immersion experience environments. So we are a CIE certified organization, which means we have certified facilitators that are trained by Microsoft on how to walk your organization through utilizing additional advanced components of the Microsoft Office 365 and productivity tools. And on demand, we can create a experience environment that we either request Microsoft to send us devices. And in the olden days when we got together in person, we had people come in, you would get to experience Microsoft Surface devices and the full experience loaded on them. In demo environments where you get to play a persona, you get to be the CEO or CTO for the day, or the marketing manager, and we walk you through some canned scenarios. Thanks to our to Microsoft being forward thinking, there's always been a virtual option, and now we're using that for customers all the time. And this is a virtual CI experience where we provide to you at no cost from an infrastructure standpoint, virtual desktops running in Microsoft Azure that are pre-configured with scenarios where we walk through a day in the life of using Teams more, using Power BI more, are using the Office 365 stack more. And so what's great about these environments is not only are they safe and you can log into them and you can break stuff and try stuff out, but you can see that there's demo content already loaded. So we're not starting from a completely blank concept. We can actually go through and show some examples of things inside of the Teams environment. And so I turned one of those on for this event this morning. And within about 5 minutes in Azure, we have a fully deployed and working environment, thanks to our training with Microsoft. So to start a live event or to schedule a live event, instead of just hitting the new meeting button right here, you would come to this little drop down arrow and you choose the live event option. And obviously it's going to schedule it for that time period because that's what was highlighted on my calendar, but you could obviously choose any time out and into the future. And you give it a name. You can provide some additional information about the event. And here we can invite additional presenters, right? I'm the organizer because I clicked create by default. It made me a producer by default, but I could choose other individuals within the organization as well. I can make them a presenter. I could also make them the producer. So the person setting it up doesn't need to be the super technical producer. Obviously, the producer needs to show up in order for the event to start, just like a host and maybe a Zoom meeting needs to show up to start it. But you don't need all your presenters. Presenters are important, but they are optional. When you click next, you get presented with a couple of options here, and these are pretty important and a really important differentiator for the Office 365 and Microsoft Teams live event solution, because it has a concept of your organization. because you live inside a Microsoft Active Directory world or an Azure Active Directory world. There's a concept of your organization only. So I can create a live event and specify only a subset of my organization or a group that would be able to participate, and they have to be logged into their work machine, authenticated through Intune or Microsoft Azure Active Directory. We can do it organization-wide, so it's anyone that is connected to your domain, again, that is fully authenticated and at a work machine. If you would like to force the work machine aspect, that's an Intune setting you can set. But I think this one's really popular right now, because right now we need to communicate more with our employees. We're doing more town halls. We're doing monthly town halls within our business unit, and then sharing quarterly town halls from the leadership team, which is a fantastic way to stay in touch and communicate with the direction of the organization. But we really prefer people not to join from their kids' Chromebooks. And we do want to make sure, since we are sharing things about the direction of the organization and some of our results, things like that, that we are limiting it to people who are authenticated members of our organization. And so we use this org-wide setting to make sure it's an authenticated person. But we could have also today, for this webinar event, chosen to do a public event. So this is anyone with the link, no sign-in required. And this is a difference between this product and like a Zoom. Public is truly public. Anyone with the link is going to be able to join it. There isn't a registration process. You could build that out. You could build a registration page on your website and only give the link to people once they've registered, and then you kind of know who's coming to your event. But it doesn't have the full kind of webinar event attendee type registration concept to it. We'll tell you who shows up and all those sorts of good things. So there's, let's just, for the sake of this one, use an org-wide. This is how do you present, what tool are you going to use to present it? And what tools are you going to have enabled for it? And so this would be using Microsoft Teams as your live event source, or an external application or device. So for this one, let's say we're just going to use Teams to go ahead and do this live event. And I'll pause here while this thing is spinning for a second and it's coming up with his attendee link. Jeff, do we have any questions coming in, or do you have any questions or thoughts of things you'd think people would like to see? I feel like I've been talking for a while, and we try to be more conversational on these.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. We do have a question that came in. Hold on one second. That I think we can talk about real quick when you get into the demonstration portion. It's kind of more of a Teams question about how to share video and audio in a Teams meeting, which I think you can also cover in the live presentation.
Perfect. All right. Hopefully folks are following along. So we've created the live event. We picked an org event. At this point, the event is created. This is the attendee link. So if we click on this, it's copied to the clipboard here, and you can see what these attendee links look like. Microsoft will fully admit that they make really long URLs. Look at that one. Isn't that fantastic? Hopefully Microsoft gets paid by the character. So a URL shortening service, taking this to Bitly or one of those, taking that attendee link and putting that in a URL shortener like Bitly would give you the ability to track who's clicking on it. You could create different URL shorteners for different people. So each salesperson has their own URL shortener, and you could use Bitly to track who clicked on those links and things like that. So that's kind of a way, and Microsoft even recommends it. They recommend using third-party products sometimes to make their product even better. But this is the actual event that has been created. So if I close that out, we can see the live event sitting right here. You can see it's got this little different symbol to it to kind of show you that this is a live event, not just one of your regular meetings. But when you choose Teams as your production source, you'll see that it really is that simple. It looks pretty much like a Teams meeting. And if we click join, it's going to bring you into that producer view, and it gives you all those normal settings and setups and things like that to be able to see your video before you join and all sorts of stuff. So obviously, this is now the producer view, and it's a little bit confused here because I'm on a virtual machine and it's angry because I don't have a microphone, I don't have a video, and all those sorts of good things. But down below here, you'll kind of see this is me, and there's this is where your video would show up if we were on a video screen. We could also choose to share. A desktop or a window or an application. And now I'm sharing within that live event, just kind of like a Teams event, right? This all feels pretty Teams-like at this point. And you'll see that we haven't started this event. Feels more like a webinar, right? So if you were an attendee of this event right now, you would be getting one of those, the host has not started type messages. So you can see up here, this is our Teams live event that is running with our title, our running time, how many people are watching us, and you'll see that we are pre-live at this point. We have not gone live. So this is the content that you can send to the queue. So I have two pieces of content. I have my camera that's not working, and then I have the content that I wanted to share, and that could be a PowerPoint deck, a video, my whole desktop, whatever it might be. But here, and then what you do is as the producer, you choose to send that live. And so we would actually hit send live and start the meeting. And so now at this point, we are saying that once you start it, the event can be open up to 12 hours. It does have a delay to it. So that's a part of live streaming. I'm really involved in helping one of our local nonprofits in our community live stream their events nights and weekends. And it is like real television. Nothing's really live. It actually has a delay built into it. So it's not like you would hear me talk and then 12 seconds later you would hear the next thing. But from what you start live, it would be about 12 to 15 seconds before everyone would start seeing the content. So you want to start your events just a little bit early. But now you can see kind of what content I have available that I can send to the available queue. And then I can choose to send that content live. And so if I had 4 people, I could see their videos down here as the producer. I would click on them and they would go into preview, and then it would show up in this preview queue, and then I would choose to send it live. So I can manage bouncing the ball between each individual. So it's kind of neat. The producer can kind of sit back and the panelists can all be logged in at their home or at the same location. And I choose kind of when we pass the ball from one person to the next person. But here's the trick about Teams live events when you're using the Teams application that we're seeing right here. You can't do the thing we do in Teams where you would say, Jeff and I will both be talking at the same time. So it's one person is talking or one person is talking plus sharing content. You can't have a group of people in a Teams live event sharing content at the same time. So that is kind of the caveat that gets to some people and are like, wait a minute, that's not what we need. We want our whole leadership team to be able to talk at the same time or be able to be up on the video. We don't want to have to pass the ball from one person to the other person to the other person. So that's when you would use a third-party application that can bring multiple people in, and then you would send the stream from that third-party application to your Teams live event stream. So when we were in that setup screen, we would choose external, and then you would use a product like OBS or vMix, which are products that are made to do video production. Pull in multiple video displays. You can run, little tags under people's names. You can run a ticker at the bottom. You can scroll text. You can overlay videos. You can do picture in a picture. It becomes a really neat video production. And you might think, wow, that sounds like a lot of work and really expensive. OBS is actually free and open source. vMix is a great 60-day trial and is also really, I think it's a one-time fee to buy vMix and it's really inexpensive. And vMix has the ability to pull in callers from anywhere in any organization from anywhere. And that's what you see. If you've been watching, the Tonight Show or the NFL draft or any of these shows that have been producing events from these professionals and actors that are in their homes, they're using products like vMix and then pushing that output to a Zoom recording or pushing it to a Teams recording or pushing it to a recorder there, and then they're professionally editing and uploading that video. But that's how they're bouncing between them. They're not, none of these professional productions are just using Zoom meetings. Zoom is the distributor of the content, maybe, or Microsoft or Vimeo, but there's actually a piece of software that's doing the video switching in production. So this is our live event. We did it kind of in the Teams way. Again, if it's just you and your content, it's pretty simple. You see this is a full content option, and then this is the split option. So this would be content in the middle, and then the video of one of your individuals. So typically the person presenting the content. So if it's a one-to-one, or you can say Bob's going to take the first 10 minutes and Sally's going to take the next 10 minutes, then just create a Teams event, live event, use the Teams application to drive it. Have someone be the producer that isn't Bob or Sally, so that they can hand the ball off between those two, and you're off to the races, and you can publish that event to a whole bunch of people. So you can certainly see the chat in the Q&A, and the Q&A is all moderated. So that means people can put in their questions, and only the presenters and panelists see it. And then they choose to allow that announcement to be visible to everybody else, which I think is a good thing. Maybe you're doing a town hall, you're asking for feedback. You want to make sure the questions are good questions before maybe making those out and letting those be public. All right, let's take a pause there as we kind of walk through the basic steps of a Teams live event and see if we've got any questions. Jeff, we have any?
We do, and they're good ones, and one that I've asked you multiple times. So I'll be excited for you to share this. One is, can you make someone outside of your organization a co-host or a producer or a presenter?
Nope, they have to be in your organization to be a presenter. So they have to be in the same organization. These are intended, Microsoft's always kind of got that slant towards a corporate environment, and the intention is that you would all be in the same corporate environment when you to be a presenter inside of that.
So that is true in the standard version, like if you're using Teams. But if you're going to use like a vMix or a different application, a third-party application, then it could be anybody, but still controlled by the producer. So it requires a little bit more probably advanced knowledge and some additional tools. It can be done, but not kind of the standard out of the box, what everybody has available right now.
You've got it. Yep.
Okay. This is a great question. Zoom has been used for these coffee talk sessions. Why aren't we using Teams?
They got us, Jeff. We've had this conversation many times, and it is, we want to do Microsoft for everything, and I think it's something that going forward, I think Jeff and I are very interested in kind of leaning on and leaning over into this way, because we don't really want to be Zoom customers, to be honest. We use and leverage Teams every single day, and I think forums like this where we're just taking written Q&A and we're producing it, we can. We just want to make our customers familiar, use familiar things, and we have a marketing automation tool that's kind of tied, is able to integrate with Zoom and be able to see whether how many webinars you've watched, and we can kind of keep tabs on you through your interest in working with us as an organization. And so I think we've had some interest in keeping some of those things, but I've always been open to it. I think we should leverage these live events more and more. And I definitely think particularly these coffee breaks are a great opportunity for us to start leveraging and using those. So I think the challenge is down, Jeff. We've got to do it and take the plunge.
I'll throw this out there. We're going to be doing the December ones through Zoom, but why don't we plan to do the ones in 2021 through Teams live events?
I like it. Yeah. There's our New Year's resolution is to ditch Zoom and go live events.
The questioner, check us on that. So tune back into the first January coffee break and make sure that we're doing it through live event. Paul, if you could switch over to maybe just a regular Teams meeting and go to share content. That question that was asked before, I want them to be able to see the little box that needs to be checked to be able to share the PC sound through a Teams meeting, so that if you play a video on a PowerPoint, it can the folks on the other end can hear the sound.
Yep. Let's go on over to, let's do a meet now, should work just fine. Yeah. I'm Megan Bowen today, which is really exciting. And we're gonna share.
Actually, I think you have to go back, cancel that share, and I will show you the box I was talking about. So click share again. So when you go to share content, you've got your desktop options, your window options, and just above that desktop option is a little box that says include system audio. When you click that, all of the audio associated with the PC that's sharing then gets passed through Teams. So if you do have a video with audio in a PowerPoint, when you hit play, that will pass that audio through to the rest of the Teams meeting participants. Just a little word to the wise, that also shares any of your other system audios or audio settings. So if you have meeting reminders popping or task items popping, or you have an audio reminder notification on new email that comes in, that will all pass through. So it is a kind of a all or nothing setting, but that is how you pass audio settings through a Teams meeting.
I always miss that checkbox. It's
No.
Jeff, this is your area of expertise, the system audio checkbox. This is you.
See, I'm creeping up on your technologist title there a little bit. All right, well, we are right at 10:30. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully you learned a little bit more about live events. We're pretty excited about what this can do and what options it provides you to start thinking about how to communicate out with your team in a different way. And definitely, as we all fight through the long-lasting COVID issues and our inability to be in and near our teams, we still have to communicate and make sure that they're hearing what we're doing and where we're headed. And we think this is a great way to do that. So if we can help, we've barely touched on this. A lot of it may have not been in context with other things that you were thinking about or dealing with. So if we can talk more about how this could benefit you and whether you have access to it and whether or not it could help you in what you're trying to accomplish, please let us know. Otherwise, everyone have a great weekend. Have a great Thanksgiving next Thursday. Be safe and let us know if we can help with anything. Thanks again. Thanks, Paul. Nice job.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.